Hey, what is up, everyone? This is Gary A. Swaby, and you're now listening to the Powercast. And today we're going to be recapping Power Book 4 Force Season 3, Episode 6. And the title of the episode is Asset Forfeiture. And I am joined today by Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. How are you doing today, Richard?
Doing good, Gary. What's up, listeners and viewers?
And I'm also joined by Miss Dana Abercrombie. How are you, Dana?
I am alive. I'll give you that much.
That's good to hear. Okay, yeah, so interesting episode of Power. A lot of moving parts here, in this episode, and a very interesting ending. So we do have some things that we need to discuss here. But as always, big shout outs to the community, the people who always leave comments. You guys always leave great theories and comments down there. So I thank you for that. So definitely drop those comments. Let us know your thoughts and theories, what you think is going to happen next. And also hit that like button and hit the subscribe also and the bell icon so you get notified when the videos come out. And also be on the lookout for those interviews, from Miss Dana Abercrombie, the best, interviewer on the team. And also, you could also check out the Koalition Entertainment channel, which is headed by Miss Dana Abercrombie, and also the Koalition Gaming channel, which is headed by Richard. And, sometimes I'm over there too. So, yeah, check those out also. But I won't delay it too much. Let's get right to those takeaways. And this week, Richard is going first. So, Richard, when you're ready.
First and foremost, I'm going to give a shout out to Miss Dana Abercrombie. She has on this very stylish One Battle After Another hat. Great movie. And this particular show should be called One Deception After Another, because people are always turning their backs on each other, so on and so forth. So let's get right into it. So I have two takeaways to get into. I have a lot of other things to say, but I'm sure when Gary talks about the questions, I'll get into some of those other things. But I'm just going to focus on my two takeaways because it's a lot to get into. First and foremost, let's talk about the new family, Tommy, Miryea, and Miguel. This is the family that you need to watch out for. So in this episode, I will say this. They had this whole thing with Miryea. She was contemplating getting rid of the baby. She did not tell Tommy in the previous episode that she was pregnant. And then, of course, she had made a call because she was contemplating getting rid of the baby. Of course, Tommy discovers the phone, and they had this whole sequence where there was a bit of a fake out where she came back to the loft. Tommy thought she went through with it. He was a bit angry, but then he understood, no, whatever you want to do, I'm here for you to make sure I take care of you. And then she reveals, oh, no, I kept the baby. So let me say this, because I believe Dana has said it. She's the one that started this conversation. Yes, Tommy and Miryea, it feels as though they have no chemistry. However, this particular scene, I felt something. It was an emotional scene. You see the tears in Joseph Sikura's eyes when he says, I'm going to be a father. That actually, I think, was a decent scene. I still don't think that they are the best couples per se, but I have to give them credit and say, okay, that's fine. I thought it was interesting also that they decided to do this fake out, because I assumed that she did go with the whole decision to get rid of the baby, and then you come to find out that's not what happened. So, and again, there was a lot of people that made comments before. It makes sense for them to go in a different path with the storytelling, because Tommy has already lost the baby and he's already lost a partner. So I look forward to seeing where they go with this, but I still don't think that this is going to be a happy ending for Miryea and Tommy. So we need to wait and see how that goes. Sticking with Tommy, in the previous episode, Diamond and Jenard, they took out the Yardies, they took their guns, and I made that comment last week because I saw Jenard had them gold guns. I said, well, we already know in the season trailer Tommy has the gold guns, so I assumed something was going to happen. But of course, no, there was no confrontation. It's just Tommy shows up and he says, you know what? Why don't we use that to align ourselves with the Assyrians? Because the Assyrians were working with the insane princes. So once again, he used this to pull another gang in to take people that were working with Miguel away from working with Miguel. And of course, they got paid from that. Of course, at the same time, Miguel is starting to fall behind. He owes Che. And of course, when Tommy and Diamond, they do the meetup with Miguel and Che, basically they're asking for more product. You can see that Miguel is obviously nervous and he says, oh yeah, we'll still do the job. And he does tell his boy to go out there and start selling. You see what happens with that situation because he goes out there and ends up getting caught by the police. So now he has to get bailed out of jail. And of course, while this is going on at the same time, Tommy is still communicating with Vic. By the way, Gary's favorite character on the show, right? He will admit that when we get to his takeaways. He's communicating with Vic, talking about he needs to set up a meet with Stacy because he knows that Stacy is going to need somebody to blame for the murder of Claudia. And yeah, I didn't mention that earlier. Yeah, we did see them confirm that he put Claudia somewhere where it's very visible that she was done, finished. I will say this though, the scene where Tommy comes in and surprises Vic, he sees him with Ray, right? And of course they play it off at like, oh, Vic just had a prostitute in there instead. Now, when I saw that scene, I said, what's going to happen when Tommy finds out who Ray actually is? That is a weakness because, and we'll get into it later, this episode, of course, they portray Vic as the tough guy now. He has a reason to fight. Obviously, he wants to get his clubs back, but now that Claudia is taken out, he has a reason to fight. I get that, but I don't buy it. This guy is not a tough guy whatsoever. But I will say he has weaknesses once again because he has the relative that Tommy knows about that Tommy already threatened to take out. So when he finds out who Ray is, that is an issue. That's going to be an issue. That's going to be a weakness. So another way that he will expose Vic, but let's see where they go with that. And then, of course, lastly, the last two things I will get into with Tommy is that he talks with Miryea. Miryea basically tells him about Miguel's situation, ask him to help Miguel. And of course, Tommy can't just, he got to go out. He goes to Miguel, gives him the money in front of his people and say, hey, I heard you're behind. So here you are. I know Miguel wasn't happy to get portrayed like that in front of his people. But of course, he used the money to bail out his other guy friend, and then pretty much to try to get caught up with Che. That's what he's going to do. But this whole time, when they're planning the dinner, he's still planning to take out Tommy, for Tommy to get taken out, because that's what Ortega wants. So when they have the dinner scene, and I thought that was a very interesting dinner scene. It wasn't as dramatic or over the top as the Power Ghost dinner scene. That's still number one on my list. But pretty much Miguel tries to stall Tommy. Once he finds out that Miryea is pregnant, he's like, okay, I got to try to stall. I got to keep Tommy here because Tommy was supposed to leave at 9:45 on the dot. He's supposed to be gone. So he basically decides to try to keep him there. And that's what happens. He keeps him there. And he ends up getting that picture at the very end of the episode, the flower that Ortega warned him. Anyone that crosses him, they will get sent this flower, and they are now going to become my enemy. So I look forward to seeing where they're going with this. Obviously, I think it's going to be a situation where Tommy and Miguel are going to have to work together to get rid of Ortega. But I do want to see where they're going with this because it's going to be very interesting now. And my second takeaway of this episode that I want to get into here is about Diamond and Jenard. Okay. Very, very interesting episode for the Brothers for Life, as Dana has her title. Basically, when you see the interaction, because at the beginning of this episode, Diamond and Tommy are talking once again, and he makes it very clear to Tommy he doesn't like that he's still keeping Vic around, because in my mind, Diamond is very much thinking the way that I would think. Vic is a snitch. You need to get rid of this guy as soon as possible. But no, Tommy still wants to control and use him to his advantage. So Diamond is basically warning him. And again, this again goes to the point that Diamond and Tommy, they operate on their own as well. when they feel it's necessary. They don't tell each other everything, but they operate the way that they feel is necessary for business. And I think that's going to be something to look out for. So I think that it's going to be twofold. Because again, Diamond is going to be angry because Vic is still around. He's also angry because I do think at some point he's going to find out that Tommy bailed out Miguel, because he was at that same time when they met with Che. You saw that obviously Miguel was worried. Now Miguel ain't worried about nothing now because he's all caught up on his debt. So let's see where they're going with that. But if he ever finds out that Tommy is the one that helped him, that's not good either. So stay tuned for that. On the flip side of that, we know last week that Jenard decided to take the meet with Che, and he went with Diamond instead of Shanti. And he tells Shanti in this episode about that. And of course, she's angry. She doesn't want to have nothing to do with him. Don't want to say nothing to him. He decides, okay, well, let me go meet up with Manny and let me go pick up the money because the whole business thing, the new business deal they have set up, let me go pick up that money. That's when he sees the fentanyl. And again, he circles back to this whole idea of CBI. We can also sell fentanyl. We can make a lot more money. And he does present this idea to Diamond once again. And Diamond says, no, I think we should probably consult with Tommy about this. He says, no, we're not going to consult with Tommy. And again, they have said multiple times in this season, the idea of an outsider coming in and basically taking over, they said that multiple times. So again, it makes me as a person watching the show, I fully understand why they're making these decisions outside of Tommy. Obviously, this entire episode, he has other things going on with Miguel and Miryea he's focused on. He's not really worried about what's happening behind the scenes, but he is going to be mad when he finds out in the next episode. And of course, Diamond says, well, we can just have the Koalition vote him out. And I think that's what's going to happen in the next episode, because he was supposed to come to that meeting. He did not come to the meeting. I'm pretty sure at that meeting, that's when they decided, okay, we're going to do our own thing. And then when Tommy shows up again, hey, that's it. Get him out of here. So let's see where they go with that. But yeah, so Jenard does convince Diamond to start selling the fentanyl. They go meet up with the people. And this is important because that at that meetup, they mentioned the fact that, we saw D-Max steal that fentanyl a couple episodes ago. You saw there was somebody that they sliced up, and they're saying this is what happened because this person wasn't able to fulfill their job. I'm telling you right now, when they see D-Mac, because D-Mac is in CBI, they have a deal with CBI. When they see that D-Mac is a part of this, that's going to cause a lot of issues. So I do want to see which direction they're going to go in with that. Stay tuned for that. But pretty much, this is what Diamond's plan is now, to basically say, we're going to vote Tommy out. Of course, when Jenard tries to meet up with Shanti again, she says, oh, no, I think we need a break. So you know where they're going with this now, because this entire season, she obviously had this plan of, we want to take out Diamond and Tommy, and also Jenard as well, right? That was the whole plan. Now it's going to be very interesting to see where they go with that, because you see Tommy talking with her in this episode about the whole Claudia situation. And Jenard, again, he's there. He sees what's happening. He didn't like that interaction either. So I'm very curious to see where they go from here. But overall, I think this was an entertaining episode. Still, the season has been entertaining so far. Definitely better than the first season, I would say. But let's see where they go from here. But yeah, I'll have a lot more to say because a lot of other things happen in this episode. I want to give Gary and Dana time to talk. And again, I will have a lot more to say, so stay tuned.
Oh yeah, excellent takeaways from Brother Richard. Great observations as always. Yeah, that scene with Tommy and Shanti was definitely interesting, because like Tommy was like treating her like she was Tasha or something, like how he used to always smoke with Tasha and OG Power, like they used to share a blunt and that, like that's how he was like treating Shanti in this episode. So that was interesting to see. But yeah, so it's time for my takeaways now. So let me go ahead and begin. So yeah, Dana got her dinner scene in this episode. We know she loves those dinner scenes. And like Richard said, I think the one in Ghost was definitely the best one. I believe it was the one with Zeke and everyone at the table. So yeah, this definitely was nowhere near that. It wasn't as messy as we expected it to be with Tommy and Miguel at the table. And on the contrary, they actually end up cool at the end, basically, because then Miguel finds out that Miryea is pregnant, and now Tommy is going to be the father of the baby. So he wants to basically like call off the hit. So he asks Tommy to stay longer so that the hit won't happen, and then he ends up getting sent the calling card, which is the flower, the purple flower, which I sent, by the way. I sent that image to Miguel. but but yeah, so Miguel now has a hit on him. Ortega is coming for Miguel now. And I guess the way it's going is Richard alluded to this as well, but I think Tommy is going to have to help out Miguel. Ortega is now a common enemy, and with the baby in the mix, it means that they have they have like a united interest in working together now because of Miryea and the baby. So they kind of have to be a family now at this point. So yeah, I think just like how Tommy helped out Miguel in this episode, where he helped him bail out his friend, he gave him the money. Tommy is going to continue now to help Miguel, and it seems Miguel is going to kind of push his ego to the side a little bit and accept that help. Now, this is going to have detrimental effects on everything else. So I'm going to go right into my next takeaway, which is Tommy and Diamond's friendship is on its last legs now. Because you see throughout this episode that Diamond is visually annoyed. Like you can see it in his face. He's annoyed every time Tommy decides to do something without consulting him or asking him for his opinion, or including him on the decision. Like you can see how frustrated he is just by his facial expressions. And I want to give props to the actor for portraying all of that. So yeah, he gets pretty frustrated. Obviously, Tommy makes the decision to use those guns that they collected um, as a negotiation offer to the Assyrians, so that they can lock them in and take away that business from Miguel. And Diamond and Jenard are both kind of unhappy about that because they're the ones who got those guns, and they wanted to offer the guns to CBI. They wanted, CBI and the Koalition to benefit from getting those guns. And then Tommy just comes in and decides to use it for something else, So they were frustrated by that. And then also, Tommy basically he told Diamond, "Oh, I've got some plans that I'm gonna do with Vic or whatever." We know that Diamond wants Vic out the way because Vic is a snitch, so he wants him gone already, and he doesn't understand why Tommy is still keeping him around and doing all these different things. So that was another thing that annoyed him in this episode. And then you see later on in the episode, him and Jenard decide to meet with the Chinese and secure that fentanyl deal. And when they get back, the other dude, I forgot his name, but he's like, "Oh, we should have did that with Tommy." And we see Diamond snap and beat this guy up. Like, so yeah, so Diamond is like he's on his last tether right now. So I don't think this friendship between them is gonna last too much longer. And now that Tommy is going to probably help out Diamond, and think about how this might happen, right? Because Ortega, if Ortega comes for Miguel, it's probably going to be like a squad, like a whole squad or unit of cartel people that are going to come for him. So Tommy is going to maybe need some backup. So I could picture him maybe going to CBI or some of the Koalition guys and asking for help with that. And if Diamond sees him, you know, if Diamond is aware that he's asking for help to save Miguel, he's not going to be happy, because remember, Tommy made the promise to him that he is going to get, you know, he's going to kill Miguel basically and take him out the picture. And he has not done that yet. So this is definitely going to put a strain on that friendship now. And, you know, if we ever get a conclusion to that DMAC thing as well, you know, it's going to go both ways, because if Tommy ever finds out that Diamond tried to get DMAC killed, which he might, you know, next week, who knows, you know, then he's not gonna want to work with Diamond either, you know, because that's his nephew. So yeah, I think this friendship is on its last legs. And if it is on its last legs, what does that mean for CBI and the Koalition? You know, obviously we had that scene with Shanti. So, you know, I do want to discuss that later on, about where her loyalties are going to go. But yeah, Tommy is going to be at a point where he needs allies. And I want to see who's going to stand with him when it's all said and done, because it seems like a lot of these storylines are starting to kind of like come together and bleed over into each other. So yeah, I want to see like how it's all going to pan out when things get too much for Tommy. And obviously, you know, now he has something to lose now. You know, he has more to lose now that Miryea is pregnant with his child. So that is like the number one priority to him right now, you know. So yeah, it's going to get interesting, I think. And yeah, final takeaway. So yeah, I think that, you know, because obviously Tommy's plan was to frame Ortega's, I believe it's his cousin, for the murder of Claudia, right? So he has DMAC, you know, go and plant the gun. And by the way, DMAC, like, you got to learn how to like creep a little better. Like, you got to learn how to hide, because like when I saw that scene, right, there was like a corner right there he could have like hid behind, like, and he was just standing there out in the open. If that guy would have looked like a little bit further to the right, like he would have seen him clear. Like there was literally a corner that he could have like knelt down and like hid from view, but he just stood there. So that was hilarious. But yeah, they planted the gun, and obviously Tommy and Vic told Stacy Marks to bust this guy, to raid his house and find the gun and frame him for the murder, right? And that was also a funny scene, because like Vic, you know, he was like, he started yelling. I don't think I've ever seen him yell before, so that was like hilarious to see. Like he just kind of snapped on Stacy. But yeah, so yeah, this whole plan to frame, you know, Ortega's cousin, I think this is gonna backfire on several people, because we see that Seng, you know, the other spy, is, you know, he's definitely looking at Stacy with a side eye, and Ortega is going to be mad about this whole, you know, bust, and he's definitely going to talk to Seng about this, like, you know, why are we being framed for this? Why are my people getting busted for this when it was Tommy? You know, so he's going to put pressure on him, and that's going to make Seng put pressure on Stacy and maybe Vic. You know, I'm feeling like Seng is going to find out Vic is cooperating with Tommy, and he might try to line something up there. There's also a possibility he takes out Stacy or something, you know. But yeah, I'm feeling like, I know Richard predicted that before, you know. So yeah, I think he's gonna be doing something very devious, because there was a lot of like funny looks between those two characters that they were giving each other, like almost like they know that the other is trying to manipulate. I don't think Stacy knows that Seng is a double agent, but she is giving him a lot of like side eyes kind of thing, like, you know, why is this guy acting so funny kind of thing. And I think, you know, obviously Seng is a double agent, so you know he's definitely looking at Stacy funny style. I think he knows that there's something deeper going on, and that Tommy Egan, you know, might be playing her or something. So definitely look out for that in the next episode, I think, because Ortega is not going to take this lightly at all. So yeah, but those are my takeaways for this episode. So I'm going to now hand it over to Miss Dana Abercrombie. So Dana, when you're ready.
I had issues with this. I was with this show, and then I'm fighting for my life at the end because y'all know I hate that corny. We are family. Oh my gosh, it's a baby. So let's no longer hate each other anymore because there's a baby. I'm fighting for my life because I'm like, this is something different because Tommy has known nothing but death and destruction and with his women's and with his babies. So I'm trying my best to be like Team Daddy Tommy, but I am fighting for my life because this is so stinkingly corny. I don't understand this. There's no chemistry between the two, and even if it was a hit it and quit it person, this is not the person you want to be with. I don't like it. And I don't like that little fake out. But I was going to have the abortion, but then I didn't. I want to be a family, Tommy. You're going to be a dad. I'm going to be a dad. I'm sorry. It's just, I'm trying. I'm with it. Believe me, I'm with it. It's just my own internal battle and struggle of not understanding family. I just don't. But yay. So now Miguel, who this entire time was this just incredibly insane man, the insane leader, the insane, I want to, you know, I'm going to live and kill out this person. I'm going to get you, Tommy. This whole situationship, he's turned into a simp for his sister and his unborn fetus of a nephew or niece. I don't like this. Why can't Myra raise the baby by herself? He could be like, well, I can step in and be like a good Tio to the baby. I'm going to still kill Tommy, and you won't know it's me. But no, all of a sudden, he has to not kill Tommy. We're friends. We're family now. And not even just that. Now everything is on him. He is going to now possibly take the bullet. But I will say one thing on a positive note. I loved how that scene was filmed. I hate the fact of the flower because it looked like something out of a Windows 98 screensaver. But I loved how it was filmed when he realized what was happening and how that camera panned back. It was very Spike Lee-ish. So I love that. That was just so well done. And obviously, I wanted my dinner to be violent, for us to say crazy things. Maybe that's when she would reveal she was pregnant. And then that's when, like, Miguel would step up and try to stab her because, like, no, just like an immediate response to, like, the baby, not in my house. But we didn't get that at all. And I'm very upset about that. I'm inconsolable. But we have to go on what we have. And so Miguel is easily going to die. I feel like this is a wrap up because we know it's a finale. So people got to like meet their ends, you know? So it's like, okay, Miguel, now again, it could be a plot twist. I don't know. But it's like Miguel is going to sacrifice his life so that Tommy and Myra can run off to the sunset and star in Power. I don't know. What is it? Legacy? Origin? Legacy. Power Legacy. With him and his ragamuffin nephew, who I love. I love D-Mac. You will never get me to say anything negative about D-Mac. D-Mac is the chaos that everyone needs in their lives. He's just unfiltered, untamed chaos. And I think he would be a delight to watch alongside Tariq, who's now mature. And like, that happened. But I find this whole thing to be hilarious with D-Mac. Going to Stacy. So Stacy, she sold her soul so that she can hope to win the mayoral race, and then she may still not win. At the end of the day, this still just may fall through. So she has basically Vic is controlling her. Tommy is controlling her. We have the other, what was it, Singh? I forgot his name. I call him Paper Tigers because that was the greatest movie he starred in. What's his name? Singh Song?
Yeah, it's Singh.
You know.
Yeah.
It's Singh. So Singh, yes. Go watch Paper Tigers. It's like the greatest comedy ever. It's hilarious. But anyway, he also is one of those wild cards where we don't know what's happening with his character. And we know that he is doing everything to kind of stop Stacy from being successful because he is working for somebody. Martel, somebody.
Ortega.
So, yeah, Ortega. See, it's one of them. So he's working for Ortega. So he is the wild card in this. But not just that. I also believe that Stacy's the wild card too. Stacy, remember the husband was like, "Oh, you're wedding, blah, blah, blah. You're willing to sacrifice our entire marriage for this." And she was like, "Yeah, clearly, I don't want to be married to you. I want to be the mayor." So not only that, but now she's facing a controversy with Claudia. And in order to overdo that controversy, she is now, I done lost my train of thought, but she is now pinning this on he's not innocent in terms of the crimes of which he committed in general, but he's innocent in this. So at the end of the day, you've proven to be so untrustworthy that I'm wondering how this is going to pan through. And it seems that even your own team working with you, although they don't know that you're being controlled by Tommy and Vic, they don't have much trust in you anyway. So then as a result, I'm wondering how far she is going to actually get with all of this. And then at the end of the day, elections, it's not like, oh, we're going to just put you in mayor. Now, granted, that's how it could be written, but she wins or she loses, whatever. But it just seems like you're doing so much and you're acting so desperately. There's going to clearly be some blind spots where somebody is going to turn against you. One of those people in there. Now, remember, there's a female that's on the team. I think she could be the one who's like looking at everything and trying to put everything in motion. I'm praying and hoping somebody is starting to overthink. And with that overthinking, they're realizing that Stacy is dirty. And with this, it wasn't like she had a huge hesitation when it came to framing the guy. You know, she was like, no, oh no, but if you really, you did it anyway. So instead of coming clean and being like, hey, I'm actually being manipulated against Tommy, who I used as my CI, not Tommy, but Vic. And now he's teamed up with Tommy and they framed me in this situation. And you had that little videotape. You can easily say, like, this is the entire thing that went down. I'm being framed. And even if you do lose your job, I think that the consequences for what people find out is going to be far worse than what you're doing now. And on top of that, she doesn't have the backing of anybody in the office, let alone the NYPD. So, like, what are we doing? Ew. And you're just framing people. Ew. But that also goes hand in hand when you see the police are framing the guy who got busted and now is in jail for $1 million bond. Because remember, oh, your tail lights out. Oh, there's so many drugs. And you're like, just putting drugs in there. So interesting. I thought that would actually lead to someplace, but I guess it would lead to, that's when Tommy bailed him out. So poor whatchamaface, Miguel is getting it from all sides. He done lost $1 million. He's getting bailed out by his arch nemesis. He's being forced to work with his arch nemesis. And remember, the guy is like, oh, you can't keep up because Tommy can do twice the products. So he's just getting it everywhere. And now he's getting followers sent to him. Like he 50 Cent and this is Diddy. This whole thing is just sad. So I'm wondering what is going to actually happen and what is next. I find her storyline to be most intriguing because she is really trapped. Now, brothers, yay. Brothers, don't you love to see the brothers come back together? They're happy, they're singing, they're dancing, they're colored brothers. I loved the fact that they are back together. One of the conversations that I had with the actor who plays Diamond, Jenard, probably both of them at the same time, because a lot of interviews flying around, was that all of this could really be solved with just a conversation. They let their feelings get away with just basic facts. And I think once they have that talk out, Diamond can come to his senses and be like, you know what? Tommy is an outsider. You have been here from day one. You are my blood. You have been holding it down for me the longest. Because he looked really crazy. What if you really look at it? Like, remember when Tommy was breaking down what he did to Vic in like the first day? When he was like, oh, I killed your guy. I took your girl. I slapped you in the face. I called you a hoe. And that was just day one. And it's like, yeah. And he also went and fractured these brothers. Y'all giving this white man too much power. It's just saying, come on, we got to rise up. We got to rise up and go against our oppressor. I love you, Tommy, but you're just oppressing these people right now. So I really feel that these two brothers have the potential to make it out of this series together. But then we have that wild card, Ashanti. I don't like her. Women are too emotional. Sorry. But sometimes they can be a little bit too emotional. And she's all like, I want you dead. Why won't you kill your brother? And now that he's really like teamed and aligned with his brother, it feels like it's going to be, well, I want you both dead. I can't trust nobody. So I think she's also one of the wild cards in this situationship. Because even though she's like, we need a break, what does that mean? Are you now plotting both of the brothers' deaths? Are you plotting to kind of screw them both out in terms of a deal? I don't trust the situationship. So now, this throws a wrench into things. And the fact that we know that this is the finale, people got to die. And I think that, yeah, Shanti, she has to go too, but I think she's going to take somebody with her. The thing is, at this point, I don't know which brother it's actually going to be. And she always gave that indication like she was going to kill Jenard at the end of the day too. So, yeah, I think y'all got to act first. Take her out first before she take y'all both out. So that's kind of what I have to say about that situation. And then Vic got his little balls back. I don't know if he ever had them, but he's like, they're growing and dropping, and I love it. I love this for him because, like, he got the girl, right? And then he's explaining, look, this is who I really am. This is what's really going on. And, of course, I do not like the corn. I cannot sit and stand with, oh, okay, well, I like you, too. We can give this a shot. Look at the view. You know, but at the same time, Vic, I think, wants happiness because he always knew that he was kind of like the stupider sibling. Like, this is why I'm so upset about Claudia, because Claudia was the smarter one, and she should have been on the reign on top of everything from the very beginning. But, you know, oh, you're a woman. Okay. But Vic, I think at this point, really just wants his freedom. He wants to sail off to the dusty sunset, which I think I asked him that question too. And Vic, you know, he wants that freedom. And what freedom look like, I don't know, but it is one thing. He has to fight for that freedom. So even if he has to team up with Tommy, that is something that he's willing to do. And I like the fact that he is trying to play it smart. Now, Tommy, you can make the argument, is a little too distracted, or maybe he already knows and is not telling us that, hey, I think you're actually seeing that random prostitute in your apartment. So I don't know which one, but I'm kind of wondering, because every time that Vic tried to be like, I'm going to get the best of you, he got crossed because he's dumb. So is this something that he's actually going to be smart about? And then what happens to that girl? The girl he's with is actually his real wife. Side note, they were both on Good Luck Charlie. It was a Disney Channel show. Do you know he had hair and a whole guitar and was singing and dancing like he was Zac Efron? The transformation of Shane Harper, which is the actor who plays Vic, is just amazing. And that girl was in Good Luck Charlie. They're both Disney kids. I love this for Disney kids to grow up and do acting things. It's like serious. Oh, it's so cute. Anyway, I lost my complete train of thought. But yeah, so I like those two together. Obviously, there's chemistry. Well, there wasn't chemistry before, but now there's chemistry because, you know, I guess they were like, oh, we have to turn on chemistry. But I like those two together just simply because they're married, and it's so adorable. And Disney kids, yay! You didn't succumb to drugs or anything else, so I just love that. Good for you. But I think that's my last three that I have to say with everything. Go Vic. I'm Team Vic now. I hope he gets his freedom. Now, again, I don't know whether or not that's going to happen. I don't think he is the wild card. Oh, wait, there was one more thing I wanted to say. Remember when he stormed that little bar with his two little Irish friends? It was like, this is my spot now. We're taking it back. What was you doing? You and two friends? Like, unless that was them casing out the place. Because you know how you like can fake something, but you're actually just casing it out? So I'm wondering if they're casing it out and then like they're bringing the rest of Ireland with them. And then they're going to come and like take over the place. Because he's all like, I'm a Flynn, hey. And the guy's like, fuck Flynns. So I'm just kind of wondering what's going on with that. So I think he might be a little bit smart. You know, don't embarrass Ireland because you're looking a little funky. That's it.
Oh yeah, excellent takeaways, very entertaining also. And yeah, you said something about Vic and transformation, and yeah, I have to say, like, Vic has something in common with actor Jim Carrey, because he was acting different when he put on that mask. Like when he was at the club, like when he went to the pub or the Irish bar, like, and he had that ski mask on. Like he was acting like a tough guy. Like he was acting like a straight savage. Like I've never seen him like in that bag before. So uh yeah, he was like, that mask was definitely transformational for him. But I guess what they're trying to show us is that in this episode he's going through a transition, because yeah, I guess he's trying to take over that Irish bar and he's trying to get like his family back as a respected force again, pun intended. So yeah, Vic is on the comeback, I guess. So that's interesting. But yeah, great thoughts, great comments. Yeah, you mentioned a few things that I want to get to actually. So let's start with the Vic, since that was the last thing, right? So let's start with Vic. So the question I want to ask you guys is, should Tommy even be worried about Vic Flynn at this point? Like, is he even a threat to Tommy? Like, can he make a comeback to the point that he is a threat in any way? So that is the question I want to ask you guys. So who wants to go first with one? I see Dana's thinking. So, Richard, do you want to go first?
Well, let me respond to this question the only way I know how to. When I saw those scenes where Vic was yelling at the multiple people, yelling at Stacy, my instant reaction was to laugh. It's like, listen, like you said, Gary, he's trying to be a tough guy, and I do want to make this comment. I understand, because this entire season, his back has been up against the wall. Obviously, anybody's in a situation where their back is against the wall, they have to respond, and they're going to do any and everything they can to free themselves from that burden. So I understand what the writers are doing with the character, to try to say, give him some redeeming qualities, make him stand on his own, and try to make you hope that he can get free of all this. But I personally think that, again, we have to go back to the fact this character is a snitch. This character, clearly, Diamond does not like that Tommy is not handling that situation. And I think Tommy definitely is underestimating Vic in terms of what he's doing, because again, all that stuff that's happening with the bars, Tommy doesn't know anything about this yet. At least in this episode, he doesn't. Now, we'll see what happens in the next episode. But clearly, Vic is doing his own thing. Now, one thing I also want to say is, while he is smart and thinking through some things, I think at this point he does not care, and he is very ruthless. Because go back to the conversation, the moment where he yelled at Stacy. And by the way, that was a great scene. Like you said, like you both said, that was a great scene. But the thing is, when he was yelling at Stacy, he also confessed to her, yes, I killed my dad and I killed Vargas. Vargas was the other person that was on her force. So that's why I said, obviously, Stacy still feels as though she can't do anything. But if she ever gets in a position where she is able to get back at Tommy and Vic, you got all the intel you need to take this guy down. So that's why I said, yes, he obviously, you understand, his back is against the wall and he is going to react and do whatever he can. But if you ask me a question, Tommy, I mean, Gary, if you ask me the question, does Vic have a chance against Tommy? No chance in hell, Jack. Absolutely no chance in hell. And Tommy, when he gets the opportunity to cancel Christmas on Vic, he needs to do it in a very satisfying way. Because listen, we got to see that. We got to see the vicious side of Tommy come out, because you let this guy, you tried to control this guy. And I will say, I do like that Vic is fighting back, because it's a lesson to Tommy. When you have an opportunity to take someone out, you just do it. You don't just leave them strung along to do all these other things. It doesn't make any kind of sense. So, but no, at some point, Tommy is going to get him and take him out. But again, I could be wrong. Maybe he has a happy ending with Ray Thompson. But I think that is a weakness. The fact that when Tommy, if he ever finds out who she is, right, who she really is, that's a problem. So we'll see where they go with this. And by the way, Dana made the comment earlier about who is supporting Stacy. I am supporting Stacy because I am her new campaign manager. So there you go.
Oh yeah, she needs a new one, because her current one was very mad at her in this episode. So she'll need to hire a new one. So wait for the call, Rich. You'll get the call soon.
Yes.
Yeah. So Dana, what's your thoughts on this? Should Tommy be worried about Vic?
Vic is a double agent. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
All right.
I mean, he actually would be a triple agent. So he's working for Stacy, who Stacy made him work for Tommy. But what if that deal for working for Stacy is to pretend that he's working against Stacy, when it actually is for his complete freedom? And therefore, when he has to do that whole confrontation scene, it's fake. What happens if he's actually stayed working for Stacy the entire time? Because we see it as he's under duress with Stacy and he's working for Tommy, but he's reporting back to Stacy, who then he is also reporting information back to Tommy. But what if the whole time is actually for Stacy? And this is just the long game that Stacy is playing. So, therefore, Vic is willingly working for Stacy, if that makes it less confusing. So I think that could be a very strong possibility, where he's like, I want complete out of everything, and so I'm going to fake this relationship with Tommy. Tommy knows that he's an agent working for Stacy, but he doesn't know just how serious he is about it. And so he thinks that he has Vic in his pocket. It doesn't make any sense, but it makes sense in my brain, and that's how my brain works. That everything he's doing for Stacy is actually sincere, and he's playing a role when it comes to Tommy. That's what it seems like. So when he was like, yeah, I'm the king of Ireland, give me my bar back. What happened if Stacy promised him not just immunity, but that he can get his position back in Chicago? Because at the end of the day, no matter what, you're going to need some kind of CI. And we've all known that they've worked for police before. We've seen it in every iteration of power. You need the police in your back pocket. So while Tommy is like, yeah, I got the Mia, in actuality, it's Vic. I don't know. Sounds crazy. Could work, could not work. But I'm just like trying to throw something out there where I believe that could be the case. But that's what I think about the whole relationship between the three of them.
Oh yeah, interesting. Because yeah, I do think the whole Stacy thing is going to come into play a little bit, because especially like the fact that he's dating Ray. I think that, that connection between Vic, Stacy, and Ray is going to lead to something, I believe. Now what I think might happen is, because it's very interesting that Tommy walked into Vic's apartment and Ray was there. he obviously thought, you know, it was a working girl or something. But, you know, what if now Ray goes to the office, you know, because she'll, you know, even though Richard is the new campaign manager, I'm sure she'll still have to go, you know, to the office, you know. And what if, like, while she's at the office, she'll see the criminal board and she'll see Tommy's face and she'll be like, wait a minute, I saw him, you know. Oh, I guess she can't say that because then she would have to admit to dating Vic, and they don't know that yet, right? So I guess she can't say that. But I do think there's going to be some kind of connection though, because you know, it's too good of an opportunity for them not to do something with that story. The fact that Vic is dating you know, the campaign assistant, like something has to come from that. So I want to see where that connection is going to be drawn, because Vic is actually starting to care for Ray Thompson as well. So, you know, what is Ray Thompson, you know, what is she going to do in this? Like, is she going to choose Vic's side, or is she going to choose her job, her career? You know, like where does her priorities lie? So, yeah, I want to see how all of that is going to play out, because yeah, I guess Vic is in a position where he could become a threat to Tommy, because if he is somehow able to flip Stacy on Tommy, then that could be his way of taking Tommy out the game. You know, he's already a snitch, so, you know, why not use that connection? I guess, like, he's not really losing much because he's already a snitch, like, technically. So yeah, that, I guess that's a card he has to play. But go ahead, Dana, because I think you wanted to say something.
What if the girl knows? What if she knows Vic's full intention and that he was working with Stacy as an informant, and she's not only okay with it, but she also can help, because he's not doing it for Tommy. I can understand Tommy, but it's like, oh look, he was a criminal, he was a part of the Flynn family, but now he's working for good. And this whole thing is for him to get out, because I still kind of believe that whole scene when they was on the bridge, the dock or something, and they was like, yeah, you work for both of us. I still think that was a setup between that him and Stacy were on the same page and knew of this before.
Yeah. I mean, there could be stuff happening off screen that we don't know. But Richard, you were going to say something as well.
Yeah, I was going to say they had the brief conversation between Ray and Vic alluded to the fact that he's both trying to get free of Stacy and Tommy. So she knows at least enough about what's going on. She don't know all the details, but she knows stuff. He's told her stuff. Some of that stuff was maybe said off camera. But yeah, he told her this. But to answer, I think that is a good theory, to think that he could basically flip Stacy. We'll have to see if they're heading in that direction. But yeah, I just want to see where they go from here, because like you both said, this is the final season. They have to have some finality to the storyline. So it makes you curious to see how they're going to wrap this up, because they only got 3 episodes left now from here on out. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they pull this together. Oh no, 4 episodes. Oh. Yeah, 4 episodes. Go ahead, Dana.
I'm trying to think of the end game at this here, right? Because if you look at it this way, and obviously we don't know because we haven't seen the finale, but I'm just kind of wondering, and again, I wish they never announced the finale thing, but the point is this. Finale, I view it as Stacy either wins or she loses, because for her, unless it's going to be like, oh, you know, we just kind of keep wondering, is she forever going to go after CBI? Because we already know Tommy's in the clear either way, which is why I have a problem with how they announced the next show. But the point is, Tommy's in the clear no matter what happens, because he has to go to the other show, right? So that leaves Vic, Diamond, and Jenard. Forget the other Ashantis in them, because right now that's not the matter, right? CBI and Tommy is basically all that Stacy cares about, okay? So either they go to jail, not Tommy, but Jenard and Diamond go to jail, and Vic, or someone dies, or Stacy either dies or she's found out and she loses her bid and her mayoral, and she's a U.S. attorney. So she uses that position that she has now, right? And she's jailed for her crimes that she's done. I feel the way how Vic is moving and the fact that that girl could be the wild card, it is to set Stacy up. I don't see Stacy dying because that just makes it too big of a case. Oh, you killed a U.S. senator. What are they going to now chase Tommy wherever he goes through another state or whatever? Or are they going to pin this on Jenard and Diamond? That's kind of a corny way to die in the show. So I think that at the end of the day, it's that girl who is the wild card. So I do see Stacy kind of losing her position with something. And the fact, if going storyline wise, if now, of course, we said this about Claudia, storyline wise, if Vic dies, and then what? What's the point? But then we said that also about Claudia. I just kind of feel that one Flynn has to die. I mean, has to live, because it's just odd. Unless what confuses me is that Flynn said that he wanted like complete freedom, right? He doesn't want the part of the drug life. He just wants to be a regular civilian and has his regular life. But then why would he come with his two little Irish friends and be like, "Hey, this is my bird. I'm restoring the family name"? Like, what is the point of that? Because then even if you do end up alive, then that means that you're trying to get your position back and be in power again. So are you really not dropping the drug life? But then that girl is like, "Hey," and then you looking around all sop-eat and Jude-eyed, like, "Oh my God, I like her." So then it does look like that would be your freedom. But I just don't understand the actions of him going into the bar and being like, "My territory." That's just my confusion, Richard.
Yeah, I would like to explain that as well as give some predictions. By the end of this episode, when they walked back into that bar and held the people up, I think they made their message clear: get out of our bars. And of course, they had the scene where he told the guy, "Put your mouth on that on the table." Very, very, very graphic scene. I wasn't expecting to see that. It's like, yeah, that's kind of brutal right there. So I think they demonstrated their messages. This is our bar. Get the hell out of here. And now they have taken that back. That's why I said I want to see how Tommy reacts in the next episode, because he is the one that orchestrated that deal with them to basically take over them bars. So something is going to happen in the next episode. But let me add this quick point for predictions, because Dana had a few predictions. I think that Stacy Marks, and I can say this, I will do my best to be a campaign manager for Stacy Marks. I represent her, but that character will get taken out. And the reason I say that is because they have this whole thing now with Singh. I believe you both, well, no, I think it's Dana. You both made the comment earlier, he is a wild card. He clearly is going to find out that she is working with Tommy, because what I think is going to happen is Ortega's going to ask him to take her out. And when he takes her out, they're going to frame it so that Tommy Egan is the one that did this. And that sets this whole thing in motion where they don't come after him, because again, he made it very clear a couple of episodes ago, his actual goal is to become the mayor. That's why he's willing to throw her under the bus, get her out of there so he can step up and take that role, which is not going to happen. But yes, she is going to get taken out. And then Bobby, her soon-to-be divorced husband, is going to see what happens. His wife has been taken out. Now he will get revenge, and he will be the one to get Singh up out of here. That's what I think they're doing with that storyline. As for the other stuff with Tommy, we'll have to see what happens with Tommy and Miryea. There was a comment made last week. There was a couple comments made last week on the episode alluding to the fact that Tommy, he's going to become a father, how is it that he's going to leave Chicago? And this goes to the point of what Dana said. I also don't like that they already told us Tommy is leaving Chicago before the season even came back. We know Tommy is going to be fine, but he's also leaving Chicago. They probably shouldn't have mentioned that point. But there's too many things that you kind of can figure out or think is going to happen. So we'll see where they go. And then the last point that I will make, in terms of the comment that was made about somebody dying or the brother's going to get free, I predict one of the brothers will survive. I don't know if it's Diamond or Jenard, but Shanti will get taken out too. That's what I think will happen. She is going to take somebody with her, like Dana said. She's going to take somebody with her. It could be Jenard, it could be Diamond. But because again, when Tommy leaves, they still want to make it clear that, okay, who is running Chicago now? There still has to be some people in charge. That's why I understand what Dana's saying. Why get rid of Vic? You still need some people running Chicago when Tommy is gone. So I don't know, but I do believe CBI will still be there to some extent, but we'll see what happens. Go ahead, Dana.
This is why I don't like when they announce things in advance, because this whole entire thing is making me think this. Tommy is going to die at the end of the Power movie. Because of this. He's leaving a trail of different states where basically he's a fugitive in. Because what he left New York. He can't return to New York because he's a fugitive. He won't be able, if this all comes, because we all know he's going to live, because they announced things. He can't stay in Chicago because he'll be a fugitive. The way if all the framation works out, he'll be a fugitive. So now he's a fugitive with a woman and a baby on the way. Just can't escape, always looking over your shoulder. So I feel this. I feel that Tommy, and when we get to that movie, is going to be, what happens if he pulls a 50? And one or two things. One is, I'm tired of running. I'm free. And then, like, he dies in a hail of bullets. Because I don't think he's reaching old age. We're not going to see Tommy, 80-year-old on the porch with just like the regular, or even in Italy, remember in Italy with the Godfather, and he was just there with his grandson, and then, oh, my boy. And then you just fall down dead from a heart attack. I don't see that for Tommy. So the only way that Tommy, I don't see him having a happy ending, because he's always said people in this industry don't ever really get happy endings. And happy endings would mean dying at an old age. See? And he said that is not what they get. I see this man being taken out. He is going to die at the end of Power movie. That we don't know which timeline zone it's supposed to be in. That's one of the questions that I'll see if I can ask him. But the point that I'm simply saying is this. This is just fugitive after fugitive after fugitive. And he's like, I want my life to change in a certain way. I don't want this life for you. So now Myra, not only did you marry a drug dealer kingpin, but now he's a fugitive drug dealer kingpin. At least with your brother, he had one location and he stayed in Chicago doing his dirtiness. Now you have to traverse through the different states because this man can't stop screwing over legal systems and everything else. So congratulations. You played yourself again, Myra. So I think that's the end of my rant because I forgot the rest of the stuff.
Oh yeah, I definitely think Miryea might end up regretting her decision eventually, just because things are going to get violent, people are going to lose their lives. So she is going to rethink that decision of, should I have just, got out of this when I could? But yes, it's probably going to be too late anyway. Also, I want to say that I love Richard's theory about, Sang taking out Stacy, and then, Stacy's ex-husband, is his name Bobby? Him coming back to kind of avenge her. Like I definitely think that is likely, because they're doing a very intentional job of reminding us that he exists, because they keep bringing him back into the show somehow. So yeah, I think he's going to be there for a reason. So yeah, Dana, you wanted to say something?
The smile. Remember the smile when Stacy was all, Claudia's dead. No. And then he walks out the office and he's all like, and then he goes, And then he keeps walking. Oh, I love that. It's like a constant reminder that he's this wild card and he's just, oh yeah, something's gonna happen with him. What happens if he ends up controlling it all? That would be hilarious.
Yeah. But so moving on to another deceptive character, let's talk about Shanti. Whose side is she actually on? Because there's been a few times where obviously she's with Jenard, and they had this whole plan of we need to get introduced to Che, so we can take over the Connect and all that stuff and take over CBI, and you need to kill Diamond and we need to get rid of Tommy. They had this elaborate plan of what they wanted to achieve, but then that we started to see cracks with her and Jenard, and that there was the whole Manny Fresh thing, and in this episode there was the whole him walking in, seeing Tommy there, and they're smoking a blunt, and then she tells him, "Look, I'm just playing Tommy so that we can get closer to meeting Che." And then he hears that and he's like, "Oh, I already met Che. You're one step behind. I already met him." And she gets upset because he didn't even tell her or include her in that. So at this point, whose side is Shanti on? Who is she going to end up siding with in the end? Or is she just going to get taken out and it doesn't matter anymore? Like, what do you think is going to happen with Shanti? So I'm going to go to you first, Dana. What do you think?
Okay. So in the great words of Beyonce Knowles, she is paying attention and she is focusing on me, myself, and I. And I'm kind of realizing that maybe this is how she doesn't die. Okay, so remember how you were like, oh, they had plans together. They were going to do this. They was going to take out that. No. Who was the leader of those plans? Ashanti. What did Jenard do? Okay, yes, baby. Here's some ding dong. Right? The whole time. So I feel that Shanti has always been the one relying on Jenard for this plan. And this time, when she realized that he was kind of responsible for her not getting, remember, was that first connection because the guy because Jenard stole the chain? He was responsible for that whole thing. Yeah, he fixed it, but the fact he was responsible for it, she can't go into the streets without somebody saying, oh, yeah, that's Jenard's woman, right? You want to be your own person. She wants to be her own person with or without Jenard. And Jenard is making it very hard to do that. And so you can make the argument by association, the brother. So that's why she was always like, yeah, we got to take out your brother. We got to take out the brother. And unless like Jenard was like high or in the middle of the hoo-ha, he really wasn't for that. So I feel that she is realizing what is really going on and she is taking care and watching out for herself. Yes, you can make the argument that she still has to die and she's going to die. But maybe by her breaking away from Jenard and Diamond's shenanigan stuff and who's working with Tommy and not working with Tommy and the fact that he already had a meeting with Shay. So that just further shows we're not on the same page. We're not in alignment. You're not including me in anything. You've left me. I'm gone. So I'm going to just now depend on myself and make my own connections and do my own way. So you can make the argument that she ends up becoming so immersed in making her name for herself that she forgets about Diamond and Jenard. But she also is the type of person that seems to be when she is angered or when she feels that she is crossed, and even if it's that the fact that he went and worked with his brother instead of her, that she's going to go out for revenge, and that she is plotting and planning on killing either one or both. At this point, I think it's both of them. So I see that one or two things can happen when she ends up becoming, because remember how we were supposed to have Tommy's Angels and we never got Tommy's Angels because they're all dead. And you can make the argument that Ashanti could have been like maybe Angel. None of the women are doing really great on this show right now. In all honesty, none of them are in that really great position. Stacy's a mess. Myra's dumb. Claudia did. The Black Dahlia lady, she did. The only one who really made it, she's gone. And that's because Tommy let her live. So all the women are not going very well. But wouldn't it be nice if there was just one woman that survived this whole kerfuffle thing? And it was just because she decided to focus on her own self and she let those two brothers either argue or take themselves out or let some other gang take them out. So I might have to change my whole way of thinking about this. And that she is going to actually be the one who makes it. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, she could make it, but what would you think about that, Richard?
I think Dana made a very good point. It would be good to see somebody make it out alive. I do agree also what Dana said. She's focused on herself. Obviously, I think initially when this all started out, the plan was to go after Diamond and Tommy. Now that Jenard, because Jenard's whole thing was he's supposed to get close to his brother, but it's only supposed to be an act. But no, the brothers are back together now. This isn't an act anymore. So I think, yes, I do believe Shanti wants to take them both out now. I think she also would want to take out Tommy, but the thing is, something will happen with Tommy in these next couple episodes because, again, he's going to get kicked out of the coalition at some point. It's going to be interesting to see what happens after that. But what I do believe is that for right now, I think she will be focused on dealing with Jenard and Diamond. But the question is, how is she going to pull this together? She actually already has her own army, her own people that are willing to fight with her. So that's why I said it'd be very curious to see where they go with this. But I think right now, she is definitely more concerned and focused on taking out Jenard and Diamond more so than Tommy, because they're the ones that's making all these moves and not communicating anything to anybody else. So that's definitely a threat.
Yeah, I agree because I feel like just, observing the body language and everything, it seems like she feels more comfortable with Tommy, in terms of business partner. So, I feel like, she's realized that for her own preservation, I feel like she feels like she needs to side more with Tommy than with Jenard because Jenard is very unreliable and he's doing things and not telling her, so the trust is broken. So I feel like she might end up siding with Tommy in the long term, and she might flip on Jenard. Let's say it's a scenario where DMAC or JP ends up dead because of there's still that possibility that what's his name? I forgot the guy's name, but the guy in prison, there's still a possibility that he told Jenard to get rid of DMAC, right? So if that hit still happens and Tommy finds out like what really happened with Jenard and everything and Diamond, he could use Shanti against them. If the war breaks out and it's Tommy versus the brothers, he could definitely use Shanti to help him in that situation. So I think in the long term we're going to see Shanti and Tommy probably align with each other. But any thoughts on that before we move on? Yeah, go ahead.
Again, I have to ask you, does anybody care if JP dies? And DMAC too crazy. He can't die.
Yeah, I feel like it's a better choice to get rid of JP just because, like, he's hardly there anyway, and he's not active in the street stuff, so he's an easy character to kill off, so.
He's not doing anything. Nothing's popping off in his life. Like, go get a man. You flipped his whole storyline about being gay. Where's your man? Go get yourself a man. Go be happy. I don't like it.
Dame Dash said pause. Yeah, Dame
Dash himself needs to pause. They all need to pause. Dame Dash, you pause yourself. Out here, Miss got embarrassed on the Breakfast Club.
But yeah, so I want the people to chime in, let us know like where you think Shanti's loyalties will lie when this is all said and done. But final question I have here is, do you do you see Tommy helping Miguel? And if he does help Miguel, is Miguel going to change his disposition? Like, is he going to change his mind about Tommy and not want to kill him and not oppose him from now on? Like, is it a lock-in that now they're going to be, brothers essentially? Like, what do you think is going to happen now with that? So, what do you think, Richard?
That's a very interesting question. I think, well, here's the thing. I think a lot of this hinges on what happens with Tommy in the next episode. Clearly, they, for the time being, they have to work together because Ortega is coming after Miguel. Knows that if something happens to Miguel, Miryea will be distraught over that. So, and they are a family now, so Tommy will feel obligated to step in and help him. Like you said, Gary, I see a scenario similar to what you said, where Tommy will ask for some backup, and then when Diamond finds out, wait, this is to save Miguel? Oh, absolutely not. That's it. Tommy is out. It could be that type of scenario. But I think for the time being, a lot of things hinge on what happens with Tommy, because if he gets kicked out of the Koalition, then that's it. I mean, at that point, he's no longer working with Diamond. He will be on his own, essentially. So I feel like, it all depends how this goes down. I mean, Ortega is still going to want both of their heads. He's going to want Tommy and Miguel. So I kind of feel like they have to work together. But if Tommy is forced out of Chicago, I think Miguel might still be there. But they got to deal with Ortega. That's the problem. They have to deal with Ortega. So I think for the time being, it may be a temporary alliance. It could be a situation where right after they take out Ortega, now Tommy takes out Miguel. That could happen too. But I think for the time being, we need to see what happens in the next episode. But I think they need to focus on Ortega together, because clearly he's coming after both of them. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I have another theory about what might happen too, but I'm going to let Dana go first and hear what she thinks.
Okay. I think I still get my happy ending at the end of the day. What if, like you said, Miguel and Tommy have to team up together, right? And they are successful with this whole thing. Therefore, Myra ends up staying with Miguel because, again, Tommy is a fugitive. And unless she's really dumb, I don't see her going out. That's not a life for a baby, of running and the drug thing. And what happens when he's born? He's still a fugitive. So you can make that argument. They team together. Miguel lives. Obviously, Tommy's not going anywhere. Myra has to stay with Miguel, and therefore Tommy has to flee that way. Or it just seems that, yeah, because they've kind of been, even though it's been like 2 seconds, they've been chummy. And because it's been 2 seconds, Miguel technically saved Tommy's life. And Tommy before that, gave Miguel money. So it's more like an IOU situation. I hate you, but I'm forced to like you right now because of not just this baby, but because we need something both from each other. And I feel that they will have to work with each other. Now, does that mean Miguel dies at the end of the day? I hope not, because then that kind of refutes the fact that we're working together. But then again, the situation that they're in is very unpredictable. So Miguel could still die at the end of the day. But I do feel this. Tommy is okay if he gets kicked out of CBI. He's been operating on his own for a while. That's how we were introduced to Tommy within Chicago, by operating on his own. He started with no gangs, nobody, no allegiances, no nothing. And we've seen that at the end, like in this episode, sprinkled throughout. Because remember, he was busy taking care of his own business, where he couldn't be a part of alliances and teams and meetings and everything else, which is why Jenard had to step in. Remember that whole, well, he's my brother. I trust him. He's my brother. And he's like, where's Tommy? There's no Tommy. So I think that he will be okay if he gets kicked out of CBI. And he'll still have the backing of Miguel. Because I scratched your back, you scratched mine, I also scratched your sister's hoo-ha. So that is how I think everything is going to work out in terms of that. And that is how, again, Tommy finds his way out of situations always. So he's going to be all right. And you can make the argument that so will Miguel and Miryea, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Another thought I had is maybe, and I'm not sure why this would happen exactly, but maybe Jenard and Diamond do end up going to Che and trying to cut out basically Tommy and Miguel completely and saying, look, us two are gonna run everything from now on. Like, we've got this, we can handle this, we're in control of the coalition. Like, we're going to run this whole thing together. You don't need Tommy, you don't need Miguel anymore. And maybe now I think it would take something major to happen between Che and Miguel for that to happen, because like I feel like his loyalty would still be a little bit with Miguel. I don't think unless something specific happens, I don't think he would want to cut out Miguel. So maybe there's something else, some other plot thing that happens where Che's like, okay, screw Miguel and Tommy, I'm going to go with these guys because these guys seem like they've got things under control. So maybe that happens, right? And then maybe Tommy and Miguel, to retaliate, maybe they take out Che and take over his organization or something like that and become the main plugs of the city or something, like, because I think I remember Tommy saying something like that, like I want to become the main plug or supplier or whatever. So maybe there's a scenario like that, but then I don't know, because that's a bit too that wraps up a bit too neat. And we know that we're heading to Legacy, so there probably has to be a reason for Tommy to leave. So maybe that doesn't happen, but that's just a scenario I thought of, because it does seem like, with Miryea and the baby being a thing, it just seems like Tommy and Miguel are more likely to align with each other now. So yeah, that's what I was thinking. But Richard, you were going to say something.
I'm going to go real quick there. You could go to Dana. Just a tidbit, Gary. You said about them potentially turning on Che. We have to remember earlier in the season, Miryea said that she recalls Miguel taking out one of Che's, I believe one of his relatives, who was also a part of trying to take over. He took someone out to take over, and Che doesn't know that. So yeah, that perfectly sets this up where if they have to turn on Che later, they can do that. Or Che, rather, he'll find this information out and he'll also want to take out Miguel. So yeah, it sets it up either way.
Yeah, good point. But Dana, what was you going to say?
What if we have a time jump when it comes to, what is it, Legacy? What if there's a huge time jump? And that's not to say that's the reason why he has to leave Chicago. What happens if he ends up staying in Chicago? But when we get to the next show, there would have been time that has passed where we get the introduction with him having to go with Tariq and them. And then what if the boy or the girl, whomever is the child, is a little bit older? I'm trying to figure out. Like, because the only reason why he would have to leave is because of the whole Stacy Mark situation. I don't think it's because of a gang chased him out. But what if this is just a time jump?
I do think there'll be some sort of time jump between the shows. Even if it's months or maybe years or something, like I do think there will be some time jump. And as for how he gets run out, I mean, my initial thought was maybe the entire coalition turns on Tommy, and you know, he can't deal with, or because the coalition is basically like a bunch of gangs at this point, like, and he keeps recruiting more and more of them. So I could see a scenario where, you know, it's him against everyone, and he doesn't have the bodies to defend himself. So then, you know, maybe that's why he has to leave and call Tariq or whatever, you know. So that's a possibility, but then I just don't know about this Miguel thing. Like, maybe Miguel dies. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, because it could go anywhere.
I'm fighting with my life for it to not to be that corny. I mean, we already had that when it came to 50. 50 doesn't look like he was like, I don't want to be here no more. Just walked out the car and let himself get shot. So with Miguel, all of a sudden, it's like he sees the light because his sister is pregnant, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna die for Tommy. So it just doesn't really seem to make any sense. It's like, I just don't. I just wish that they never had the whole thing where it's like he wished that that now he's gonna die for Tommy, or he knows that he's dying because he didn't send Tommy out, and it's all because Tommy. And he made it a point. No, sit down, stay. He was the one who made it a point, so he purposely knew that he was putting his life in danger. I just don't like that. I get it, because then you can make the argument like no one really put their life on the line for Tommy. Yeah, you could argue Ghost did. But this is kind of a person who doesn't deserve to, doesn't need to put their life down for you. So you can like, oh, see, they're making the character different and it's adding extra dimensions. But I'm just frustrated.
Yeah, I feel you, you know, because I was expecting, like, it seems like all that tension and animosity between them that was built up this whole season, it just went away in a moment just because Miryea is pregnant, you know, like, so I feel you on that, but yeah, I guess they take family seriously, you know, I guess they take blood seriously in that family, I guess. So it is what it is. But Richard, did you have anything else to say on this?
Oh no, I was going to say that's the power of family, Gary. This is what, so that's what happened. This baby is very, very, very special. So we'll see what happens.
The golden child. All right, yeah. So if you have any final thoughts on this episode as a whole, then now is the time to say it, or forever hold your silence. So go ahead, Richard.
I have one final comment to make. We did not really mention this. They planted in this episode the possibility of D-Mac going to school in Atlanta, because Genesis, to help Genesis go to school in Atlanta, I think that is a very important tidbit of information, because, yeah, we'll see if that happens. But I also will make this, I'll make this way out of the box theory. I have a feeling that this thing with Genesis and D-Mac is going to change. I could see Genesis potentially getting pregnant down the road. And I would like to know how that will change the storyline, since now they are a couple. And they made it clear that, yes, she told him in this episode, okay, yeah, I want to be with you. Okay, all right. So let's see where they're going with this. But I think the thing is, I like that Genesis looks at him and sees he has more potential. This CBI stuff, you shouldn't be doing any of this stuff. So I want to see how this changes the character moving forward. But I just wanted to make a comment about that. Go ahead, Dana.
Stop trying to impregnate every woman that is on this show. Y'all did it with Gloria. Y'all did it with everybody. I am sick and tired of impregnations of the women's. No, I think, first of all, Genesis is real. That took me by surprise. I'm like, oh, this is not a catfish. I was waiting for, like, I don't know, Gabby Sidibe to show up. But yay for her being real. The whole Atlanta situation, that is something where they could end up going to Atlanta for the show and maybe do it better than BMF. But I kind of like that. We have a lot of culture that's based in Atlanta, and a lot of things that's popping off in Atlanta. A different atmosphere, and now with Tariq, that would be something great. Here's a crazy thing. What? Oh, I'm muted. Sorry, I'm muted. What if instead of that, we have D-Mac goes to school, and that's how he's not on the legacy thing. He actually goes to school, because remember, one of the things that he said is he sees numbers everywhere. He's like a little Rain Man. He sees them no matter where he goes. And yes, that is something that is used within the drug industry. Oh no, I just realized that what I just said doesn't make any sense, because he was like very determined to not. But then Genesis, I don't think he's changing his lifestyle with some random person who just already now just gave it up. I mean, let's be kind of honest.
So a quick question for you and Gary. So are you confirming right now you guys do not want to see a show of Tommy and D-Mac as the fathers that now got to be in the game to take care of their kids?
That is, it's a daddy daycare for drug dealers. Where's Tasha? This is how we bring in Tasha. She has her daycare center, and it can be legit. Oh, that's hilarious. But no, I don't want to see that at all. But I'm really intrigued. I don't want to see it. It's just me. Maybe it's just a me thing. But yeah, but now I think about it, what I'm saying doesn't make any sense, because at the same time, he was like, I want to do this life. I'm a part of this life. But then again, at the same time, he's young and his mind can change, and he's also really stupid. And Genesis can actually be the one that's like, stay. And he does go to Atlanta. I will say he's a wild card. I don't know. Not him being a wild card. Genesis and how she impacts him is the wild card of that situation. But I still see him kind of just leaving. And he needs a good sit down and a talking to, because did anyone else feel that scene just kind of removed him from the show? Because it kind of felt like it removed me from the show. Because like, I'm cool with you being on the phone, but then now I actually have to see you, and then I'm actually meeting you. The thing is you gonna go and sleep with him, and he's a YN too. What are we doing with our lives? This generation, save it. Prayers.
Yes, Gary said that was his favorite scene of the entire episode. He likes the Genesis character, so I'm sure he was okay with seeing this happen, since they've been telling us since the beginning of the show, D-Mac likes Genesis. He got to get with Genesis. So there you go. Love connection.
Nah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Genesis is going to turn CBI's top goon into a book nerd. Like I don't think it's going to happen. Like I don't think so. Then
the question is, do you see him going to Atlanta?
I could see Legacy being in Atlanta. I could see that happening.
And the point I was going to add is I see that happening, and it also makes sense for Tommy to go, since Tommy said that he was always going to watch over D-Mac. So if he goes to Atlanta, I don't think D-Mac's going by himself. So that's a possibility. Get Tommy out of Chicago for a while and somewhere else.
Yeah, I just hope they don't do the whole college thing again, where they're showing us the college, because like Ghost did all that, and I'm kind of over that. So if I don't want to see more college storylines and stuff like that. So if they do that, then just keep him as an off-screen character until he's relevant to the story, basically. But I don't need to see scenes at the college, but yeah, it is what it is. We'll see. Dana, any final thoughts on the episode aside from that?
No, aside from that, it was okay. That ending saved it. And the guy with his smirk as he left the room saved it as well. But okay, overall it was an okay episode. It's interesting to see how Miguel will behave. And for the record, we do not have the trailer because it's a Tuesday. So we can't even surmise from that.
Yeah, we haven't seen the trailer yet, but I am looking forward to seeing that trailer to see what the next episode looks like. But we'll see. But yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. We are going to call it at this point, and we will be back next week to cover, is it episode 7? Yeah, episode 7. Already. Wow, this is going so fast. Like, it's going really fast.
That's
But
what
yeah.
she said.
Nah, she didn't say that. But yeah, so thank you everyone, and we'll be back next week. Take care of yourselves.